What's up? Decided to take a little break from all the theory and scales and all that stuff, mostly for me, and do a little song lesson here. And today we're going to do Cream's White Room. Now, the song's not as hard as it may seem to you. I'm not really going to go a whole bunch over the soloing, except I'll go over some scales at the end. But I did want to cover the couple of parts so that you can get along and play the song, and hopefully if you got a couple of guys, bass and drummers or gals, then you can have fun jamming this one, and everybody knows it, so it's a good cover tune. So first of all, the song is in D minor, and so you might want to bust out your magic wonder wheel. What, you don't have a magic wonder wheel? Go to my website, you can get one, jacksguitarplanet.com. And when I set this to D Aeolian, then I see that I have the notes D, E, F, G, A, B flat, and C. So that gives us an idea of the notes, and we'll look at it again in a second for the chords. There are 3 parts to the song, and we're going to go over each one, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, so the first part is going to be a progression of 4 chords: G, F, D, and then C. And those progress twice. You go through that twice, and then you stay on the C twice for one last part. Now, the other thing that's interesting about the intro is that it's an actual 5/4 time, which just means 5 quarter notes. So instead of how you would normally count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you just count to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you would do that twice. Then when you get to the C the second time, you're only going to count to 4. 2, 3, 4. Then you go into the verse. So that's pretty interesting. Those guys had a lot of, Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker had a jazz background, so that's probably where that comes from. But what I want to talk about is that I believe in the song, Eric is actually playing 3 guitars overdubbed, and he's basically outlining each chord with the 1, the 3, and the 5. Now, I'm going to show you another way also if you're just playing this one guitar and bass and drums to kind of get around that. But let's take a quick look at what I'm talking about here with a little bit more of a close-up. Okay, so we know from the Magic Wonder Wheel, you can see here that the G is a minor chord. If you're looking at your wheel, you'll know that the first and the third chords are minor. So it's going to be G minor, F major, D minor, and C major. And here's a way to fret those chords on only the bottom 3 strings. Okay, and then the D minor, and then we've got C major. And basically those come from our A position power chords, or bar chords rather. So if you know, like a B minor chord, I could play it, because the root here is B, so if I go to the 10th fret I get G minor. If I only play the bottom 3 strings, then I could just fret that like this if I wanted to. Same thing with this C, or rather this is a F major chord. Most people don't fret it, but actually you're not supposed to play this note for the bottom string. You're supposed to play this note, so it would actually look like something like that if you were going to play the whole chord. Some people can actually bend this finger so that you don't catch that E string. I can't do that, but anyway, the bottom part of that would look like this. Okay, so in this case for the F, I'm going to play the 10th fret of the G and the B string and the 8th fret of the E string. For the G minor chord, it was 12, 11, and 10. So those are your 2 shapes. You could use those in all your other songs. This is a minor shape. Here's my root. If I use octaves, I know it's a G. And then here's my root again. That's a major. So when we get here, we have D minor and C major. So basically what you have, one guitar is playing this. Those are all the notes of those chords on the G string. The next guitar, 11, 10, and 6, 5 on the B string, which is the second note of all those chords. And then the top note, which is the fifth. The first note was the root. That was a third, a harmony with a third, and then this would be a fifth. 10th fret, 8th fret, 5th fret, and 3rd fret. You play all those together, and I recorded that real quick. You should be able to hear it. Let me click on that, give you an idea here. Again, you're counting to 5. And there was that extra bar at the end. So you can hear when you play them individually, it sounds a little different than just going. Maybe not that much different. So what to do if you've got, let's say if you have 3 guitarists, then you probably just want to play what I just said, those 3 things. By the way, on the D string, you can get yet another harmony. Okay, on the 12th, 10th, 7th, and 5th. So if you are just one guitar, then I would play my full bar chords. Which is, again, G minor, F major, D minor, C major. If you have 2 guitars, one guy could play the full chords, and the other guy could play just the bottom, the high E string line, which is a 5th above. I think that would kind of cut through the mix pretty good for you. Now, if you're playing the harmonies for that last part, that it's only a partial, it's a 4/4 measure, then you're going to want to stay on that same note. But when you're playing the chords, if you're just one guitar, after you hit this C, you can add an A in the bass and change this into an A minor 7. So that would sound like this the second time. 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you would stop. So that covers the intro. Okay, the next part is a progression of 4 beats, but you have 5 chords in it. You've got D, you got C, you got G, and you got B flat going to a C. Those both get like half. They take up the last measure. And I say G because that's basically what it is, but basically throughout the song he's playing this, so you can see here's my G chord, or you might use one finger here. Okay? If I don't play this top string or the bottom string, what am I left with? I'm left with, it's a G chord with a B in the bass, and it's a substitution. It's used a lot in rock. Okay, we're going to see that kind of thing. The frets would be 2nd fret of the A string, open D, open G, and 3rd fret of the B string, which is a D note, and that's a B note. So you got B, G, D, and another D. So let's see how that progression goes. You basically, now because he's playing power chords here, I believe. This is how I play it. Okay, you got a couple options. I'll show you another option in a second. I'm not playing a third. I'm only playing root, fifth, and root. When I get to this note down here, the D, okay, is the third, so you don't have to play it. I just use my finger and play 3 strings. So it's just the 2nd fret and the other 2 open. And then B flat, C. So again. I think the important part of this progression is those last 2 chords to kind of staccato those. I think that's what it's called there. It's kind of leading you back into the beginning of the progression again. So no matter which way you play the chords, I think you want to accentuate those. Okay. Here's your other option. You can play a D chord here, of course. And then you have this C sus shape. Just basically a G shape, but you move everything down too. But probably not play the E string. Then you got your G with B in the bass. And then B flat, which you could add the 3rd on top and get that kind of heavy sound. Even kind of go back and forth. One of those kind of things instead of... You'll have to listen to the recording. It's hard to tell for me if the bass is playing that or not. But again, those are a couple of options there. But again, I like that stab though, or kind of idea. Okay, the last part is the chorus. Now, here are the chords. You basically have 4 measures and then you have 6 measures. Again, a little different, which is nice, changes it up a bit. First 4 chords, G, C, G would be in the bass, B flat, back to C. Oh, sorry, to A. Again, C, B flat, B with a G would be in the bass, B flat, A. The second time, C, G would be in the bass, B flat, this time to C, and then to D, but it stays on for 2 counts. Okay, now I believe in the song that Eric's playing this with the wah-wah pedal, and he's just basically doing 1 strum, and he's wah 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 wah, and then, you know, that kind of thing. If you had 2 guitar players or you don't have a wah-wah, you might want to just and you got the drum fill, right? Just putting a little major pentatonic in there. We'll cover that in a second. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Your choice. You can figure out a pattern. You could mute them. You could do whatever, but those are the chords. Again, it's 4 counts and then 6 counts as far as the measures go. Okay, so let's just go over the order of the song. I'm going to post this in the notes at the bottom of the video here. But you have your intro. Plays that progression twice, then again your A chord, then you got a verse. Okay, then the chorus. Etc. Then you're going to go back to the verse. Then another chorus. Okay, then it goes back to the intro, which is a little tricky part. You should play along with the song and you'll see what I'm talking about. You got to be ready. Remember, you're going back to 5, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. You go through the whole intro again. Then you're going to play the third verse. Okay, third chorus. I don't know why I feel the need to play that every time. And then you go back to the intro for a third time, and the only difference is at the end you got 2 extra bars on that very last chord. So if I play the second half of the intro, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then you got to listen to the recording. You'll get the hang of it. I think I got that right. I think it's 6 measures. Anyway, and then let's talk about, so that's it. That's the whole thing. And then you got the outro, which of course fades out, so you can do whatever you want if you're playing it live as a band. So let's talk about the soloing a bit. Again, I'm not going to cover it. I'd have to do a whole lesson on wah-wah and that kind of stuff. And the best way, I think, for you to get used to the wah-wah is just get one and use it. If your funds are a little limited, buying a effects pedal that's all got a whole bunch in one. I'm using a Digitech RP360 XP right now, which is pretty cheap actually for what you get. I mean, it's amazing amount of amps and everything, and you plug it in the computer and you can drag and drop and do all kind of easy settings for the effects and all that. And of course it doesn't sound like a tube amp, but if you have limited funds, you get the wah-wah, you get a pitch bender, you get all that kind of stuff. But again, I said the song is in D minor, so he's going to be using a D minor pentatonic, but he also uses D major pentatonic. If you've heard anything or you know about Eric Clapton, that's one of his trademarks, is he goes back and forth between minor pentatonic and major pentatonic. If you're not comfortable with that, you might want to stick to the minor pentatonic, because after all, that is a D minor chord. But like I said, playing power chords in the verse, which is what the outro goes, you just loop the verse over and over, and that's what's great about power chords. There's no third, and that's what tells you if it's major or minor, so you get to use both, really, because there's no third in there. So let's just get a quick look. If you don't know about the pentatonic scales, please check out my video on pentatonics, and you can see how to tell the difference between major and minor, because they are the same shape, and there's a little bit of confusion on that. I believe he doesn't really use any major pentatonics except in like around the third verse, and I think that the outro is just all minor pentatonics, and that's when you're just going to be going crazy with your blues scales and that kind of stuff. But I will show you 2 positions of each one, hopefully, here, if I can remember them. So the 10th fret is where there is a D note on the E string. So here we're going to get which a lot of people call the first position minor pentatonic. It deals with the first minor shape, the first shape of the pentatonics. If you're watching my video, the 5th and the 4th. And if you want frets, you have 12, 10, 13, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 13. You can also play it here at the 5th fret is another D note. Okay. And for this one, you're going to get that 4th shape. So 5, 7, 5, 8 and 5, 8. Followed by the middle one. 5, 7 on both frets. Okay, that's the 3rd shape. Then you get the 2nd shape, which is the 6th fret and the 8th fret and the 5th and the 8th. Okay, far as major pentatonic goes, go back to this original D note right here, 10th fret of the E string, and I'm going to get this. There's my D note, there's a D note, there's a D note. So, and you also have this note here. So it's 7, 10, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 10, and 7, 10. And that was where I played that right before the after the first chorus going into the second chorus. That's why I believe that's a major pentatonic. And then your next shape would be down here. When you got a D note here, or we could play it up here. Let's play it up here. 5th fret again, right, of the A string is D. So you're going to get the 5th fret on the A string, 2, 4 on the D, 2, 4 on the G, 3, 5 on the B, and 2, 5 on the E. There's your D note, and there's your D note. And if you wanted to go some of the notes above, you also have the 2nd fret of the A string and the 2nd and the 5th fret of the E. Okay, so those are some scales. Again, I encourage you to check out all of the shapes, though, so you can use those shapes all over the place. And if I missed any part of the song, let me know. Hopefully this helps out. And check out my blog, jacksguitarplanet.com. If you have any questions or comments, then post it, or you can email me at jack@jacksguitarplanet.com. Thanks a lot, and subscribe, please. Take it easy.